This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode may contain spoilers from ACOWAR and Empire of Storms and does mention Soul of the Deep, Buffy, and The Wicked King. For full list, please see show notes.
Everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the YA literature and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie. Jessica Marie is here too, and this is part 2 of The Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. Please enjoy. It's also here that Faiza learns that Nahri is Shafit, and this is the first time that Nahri has said it out loud, and it's kind of a bonding moment that she has with Faiza, and it's nice. Just like you said, another female friendship, and it is jarring then to go from this to Dara fucking a dancing girl at the party that Muntadhir put together. I was just like, whoa.
I was like, not Dara hooking up with the dancer. I was listening to this as I was making breakfast, and I was like, what is happening?
I was like, oh my gosh, Dara.
But then he's also trying to use that he was like, oh, I'm still really in love with Nahri, but she's here, so I'm gonna keep going with that. And then he's having some sort of pillow talk, but not really, because they've just been fucking in an alley. And he's like, what's it like working with Muntadhir? And trying to ask all these questions, because now him and Muntadhir are just gonna kind of collaborate and work against Manizah. And she's like, he's good, he underestimates women, but he's also just like his dad, and people forget that because he's so charming and he's so pretty and he knows to flirt like the rest of them. But make no mistake, he's putting Daevabad before anything else.
This is also where Dara finds the slave ring chamber. This is the worst possible thing that he could find at the worst possible time, and it really drives Manizah further along the path of destruction, I think. Because it's here where Manizah confesses how she knew about Dara, what she did to Dara, and basically admits that he is just the product of experimentation. And it really hurts him. And she's like, I knew it would hurt you. This is why I didn't tell you. So she's telling him to hurt him, which is mean. And I kind of feel for him in this moment.
Because it's very much it feels like Manizah's doing the I told you so. And I'm guilty of that. I'm not, but not in the way that she is too. She's like, now will you listen to me? Now, next time I tell you, I'm not going to tell you something. Now you know what it feels like, so you never question me again. Because this goes back to the paranoia with the loyalty.
Yeah. And what she tells him is that Kaveh, Rustam, her brother, and Manizah found the ring when they were children, and she got a vision of what was inside of it, memories inside of it. So Manizah knew who he was. They brought the ring to Daevabad. They did a bunch of research to try to find out what was going on, what happened, and then they started doing experiments to revive him. And then this is where the reveal that Nahri is not her daughter really kind of hits home, because she's lying here. She's like, I was pregnant the second time. I had to flee. Then Nahri was born. And then, I was going to use her to bring you back. All of this stuff. It's
see, okay. So this is another reason why, again, the twist that Nahri is is not her daughter was so big because she's acting like, I was pregnant one time and Jamshed is my firstborn and he's my boy. And now you're thinking, oh, wow, she's really going through it. And you're also led to believe that the three of them, her brother, her, and Manizah and ACOFAE, were just like three best friends that were all really, really close. And they've been going through this shit since childhood.
Yes. And so Nahri is Shafit, and Manizah says that like, yeah, her father is like a servant or whatever, but all of this, these are all lies. These are all lies.
I just thought of something that I was like, wait, the connection is there because at some point, Ali had made a comment of like, that her parents were Egyptian, and she goes, wait, my parents were Egyptian? Like, it has to be from my father's side because my mother is Manizah.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm still like, remember, I've just only gone through like one read. So like, I'm connecting little things. I got to do another one of this.
Isn't it? It's so fun. It's so fun. But so she says like, Nahri is Shafit. ACOFAE doesn't know any of this, but Eshma does. Manizah does not know how to free the Ifrit. Nasreen is the one who recovered Dara's ring,
which we knew from the end of book 1 because of the ashes and she pulled from it, all of that stuff. Okay, yes.
Yep. And the Manizah doesn't know how or why Dara has come back the way that he has. She uses the dead Nahids. She uses these people, this tomb that she finds right now. She uses them later on to bring Dara back again. But this is this horrible, mean confession that Manizah gives. And it's like, oh, and it gives us information. But again, it's like a red herring because this is like false information given to us, the reader, which is all very good and well. I did not expect to see Cousin Musa in the jungle with Ali and Nahri when they make it to Shefala. But I figured, like, as soon as they were like, I knew who that is. And there was like, Cousin Musa. I was like, well, he was in book 2 for a fucking reason then.
I forgot about Cousin Musa. Even after I listened, I had to like re-listen to our episodes on book 2 to be like, okay, get me in the mindset for book 3 and refresh anything. We do not talk about Musa there.
That's fine. That's fine. But we've got Cousin Musa. Cousin Musa identifies Ali, who is not looking his best, to say the very least, and ends up taking them to Hatzep. Thank God. But the question is, where is Rajed? Rajed, he is there. Because he fled when Ghassan died, and he took Jamshed with him because that is where in his mind, that is where the next authority was. And Ali is shocked. He is shocked and astonished at all of this, at this reunion. And I love his mother. I don't know if I've said that.
His mother is great. And we should also note that Jamshed is not like being treated like a regular person. He's being treated like a prisoner at this point. So then everybody's like, okay, yay, he's alive. And even Nahri's like, cool, that's my brother. Well, that's revealed. And everybody's like, wait, did you know? Why are you not acting surprised? And she's like, oh, yeah, I did know. And they're like, what did we say about no more secrets?
No more secrets, God. But they go to Jamshed right away. Like right away. And if we're talking about secrets, Jamshed is like, hey, I love your brother. Ali, I love your brother. I don't care if you know anymore. But
well, and then he even says like, oh, sorry. Like, and he has like a one-on-one with Nahri too. And she's like, I'm so sorry. Like, hey sis, I know that's your husband. And she's like, it's okay. He told me to tell you he loves you too.
Yeah, like, it's all good. It's all good. We all know. It's all fine. It's all fine. But then Ali is like, I can't judge. Like, how can I judge? Like, he found like a little bit of happiness. And this is again, Ali's like character growth. Because originally he would have said that that's a sin. But then
this is the part where he's like questioning sins, because he's like, but who am I to judge? Because look at me.
Look at me with my husband's wife. But then Nahri's like, hey, Jamshed, you're stationed, my man. You are a Nahid. You have magic, even though nobody has magic right now. But you have magic. You are the Banu Nahid. Like, come on, rise up, take your station. And I like that for Jamshed. Jamshed had gotten the shit end of the stick for a really long time. So to see him kind of step into himself, I enjoyed seeing it.
Well, look, again, with the 6 years, like, he was not healing at all. And it, like, even later in this book, they try to be like, hey, Jamshed, like, you can heal, you wear the ring. And then he's like, I can't take the ring. The ring's not working. Like, but I mean, everything with the ring does wind up working out. But it's just, I love that Nahri and Jamshed, the way that they're reunited, like, we have to remember that they left finding out that they were siblings, and I'll use that in air quotes. And he even tells her, he goes, you being my, and she's saying, like you said, he's got the shit under the stick. And he goes, you being my sister is the best thing that has happened to me in years. Like, he's just so happy to have this sibling dynamic with Nahri.
Nahri is not happy to be awoken by Hatzap thinking that it was Ali. She was so smiley and giggly. She was going to talk to Ali, but it was his mom. Worst case scenario. And his mom is like, hey, truth bombs, Muntadhir is alive. BT dubs, Muntadhir is alive. And we're not going to tell Ali. We're not telling Ali. Because Ali will do something rash and he will rush off to save Muntadhir. We all know he will. So let's lie. We're going to lie really good about this. And by the way, Daevabad is in complete chaos. And also, by the way, Issa is here. He's here. Let's talk. Let's all share information about what's going on. Oh, but not Ali, because I drugged the shit out of him. I drugged the absolute piss out of him. So no. But also, Nahri, why don't you marry him and set yourselves up as king and queen in Tamitri and just live here? Why not? Why not? Let Daevabad be Daevabad. Why don't you just set yourself up here? And then later, in some years when you're strong or whatever, maybe then you take it. But like, let's chill. And Nahri's like, I mean,
she's not hating the idea.
Yeah,
she's like, not, because these are also the conversations. She's like, can you really say that you love Muntadhir? And she's like, this is so weird. This is my mother-in-law. Like, we know it's a marriage of convenience. So she tries to like project and put the questions back onto her. And she's like, well, you know, like, yeah, I was with Ghassan, but I was also like, Manizah was in the picture. He was also in love with her. And I was scared of this crazy bitch. Like, it's a very different scenario than what you have with Muntadhir and Ali. But also, Hatzap doesn't know that the marriage with Muntadhir was essentially set by Ghassan, because he's like, this is a marriage of convenience.
Yeah, and they also don't know that Ali wakes up and stumbles to a mosque. In character. Ali wakes up in a new place, goes to the mosque, and stumbles upon his grandfather, and he starts to win people over at the mosque by talking and listening and just being with them, which is something that he has consistently done through all 3 books. He finds his peace talking to people and being in the mosque, and we love that for him. And it is there that he starts to build the goodwill of the people. And it shows the stark difference between what Ali is doing, which is going to the mosque, being with the people, talking to them, hearing their grievances, and Manizah, who it is now 2 months. It is 2 months now. We have a nice little time break. Manizah has worked with Muntadhir, and they are trying to have this peace summit.
I haven't noted that they came carrying weapons. In my head, the peace summit was interrupted with people showing up with weapons. In my head, they were human weapons, because that was a big thing. Am I in the wrong? You look confused.
Nope, you're
now.
absolutely right.
Because this is where Dara is like, wait, what's going on? Like, why are these? I have like human weapons. He goes, this is just not again, things are clicking for him. He goes, none of this is turning out or aligning with the things that Manizah has told me we're supposed to line up. But he's also completely out of the loop now, too, because she's not divulging anything to him.
No. And he's going to stay fucking out of the loop because Muntadhir stabs him in the fucking stomach with the iron solution. So he is out for the count. He is done. And Muntadhir with that old lady with those weapons is just like, hey, I'm starting a revolution. Let's get it. But this is also where the breaking point for Manizah happens. And this is Kaveh is killed in the street. He is ripped apart by the members of this peace summit and the Shafi and the Gaziri, all of these tribes. That's bad because Kaveh was the only one that she would listen to.
Was the only one that she would listen to. And it's what snapped. Like, if we didn't think she was already on the edge before, this is where she snaps because of his, she, again, to go back to questioning everybody's loyalty, he was the only one that she felt and believed was loyal to her.
Yeah. And it's not good. It's not good. Also not good. And also happening kind of almost at the same time is the monsoon Marid comes and possesses Ali on Nahri's balcony. And something is up because he won't open his eyes. He keeps his eyes closed the whole time because Ali is acting a little strange, right? It's raining. He's out on the balcony. Nahri comes in. He's talking to her a little more freely and emotionally than he usually does. And it's okay, Ali. All right. But then he doesn't open his eyes. And you're like, that's not Ali. I know how this works. He's possessed. Damn it.
I know, because this is the part I wrote. I go, finally, Ali is coming on and flirting with Nahri. Where was this a couple chapters back? And then I put, JK, it's the Marid.
Mm-hmm.
But this is also a chapter that's after a fight that Nahri, an argument, I won't say a fight, an argument that Nahri has with Jamshid. So she's in this room. The Marid has Ali possessed. Jamshid comes in and he's like, hey, sis, I know we're fighting. I know you don't want to talk to me. And this is the moment where he's like, oh, there's somebody else in here. And she also goes to say, this isn't Ali. This is a Marid. And she gets shut down by the Marid. So he's like, get away from her. Don't touch her. I knew you were a piece of shit. Gets really protective as her brother.
Yeah. And this is also when Sobek is like, hey, what is this? What is this? What is going on? And the monsoon Marid is like, hey, I'm Tiamat's messenger. Submit to Tiamat. What the fuck is going on here? And this is where we have our whole kind of deep ocean subplot. It kind of starts here. Because we learn through all of this that Sobek basically bred a race of descendants.
And Sobek isn't that far removed either. He's not even just a grandfather. He's just great-grandfather. That's it. Just once removed.
Yeah, he's right there. So this is what we learn through there's a palm slice situation. There's a lot of stuff going on here. But we learn that Sobek has descendants. Ali is one of them. And Sobek was ordered by Tiamat to bring all of his descendants down to her realm. And Sobek ate them all instead. This is again a point of disgust for Ali, which is brought up later. But the Marid says that Ali is his little hatchling. And because he's your little hatchling, Tiamat wants to know. So you have to go. You've got to go soon, by the way. And, it is what it is. I was not expecting any of this subplot at all.
No, my note was reference it to go back to it. Plot. I was trying to get more details to go back to chapter 30, but this is why we do rereads.
This is why we do rereads, because we go from these like orders to go down to the ocean, to go to Tiamat, or like the world's going to break, to Dara waking up with a big like bracer and all of this like horrible like magic going through him. What did we think about this?
Well, this is also the part where like he's finding out that Kave's dead. He's like, oh, that really did happen. And he's glowing, because that's also like every time, that's a note that like every time he gets cut or like a different piece of him is showing, he starts to glow. No? Was that? I was like, in my head, I was like, why is this feeling very Captain Planet-y?
And his skin is starting to like fissure a little bit and to start to rupture a bit. Yeah. This is pretty wild stuff here. So he's got a bracer, and we learn that he was brought back to life through the sacrifice of all of the Nahids that were in the crypt and using a bunch of Ifrit magic. And Manizah has lost it. She has absolutely lost it over the killing of Kaveh. And it is here where she takes his eye, right? Manizah takes Muntadhir's left eye, and where it is clear that things are never going to recover with Manizah in charge.
No. My question is this also the part where, like, I guess the behind the scenes part for the chapter that we get with Nahri, where it's like one of Manizah's messengers and they're talking about the relics, and she goes, no, you're good. Nahri's like, no, you can't dump them. If this is so important, I want you to count out every single relic, because every relic is connected to a soul, is connected to a body. And they're like, if Manizah's running shit and she's doing things so well and she cares about the Daevabad, count it out. Tell me how many people made taking over Daevabad worth it. And we know that this is just like a small fraction for this particular instance, because if we go back to the beginning of the book, Dara makes a comment to someone where they were like doing a death toll count, and Dara's like, let's don't have like the exact numbers, because we may need to fudge them a little bit so we look good.
Yeah, because this is the arena. This is where Manizah is soaked in blood. Her dress is soaked in blood. She's like sitting on the platform, and she's just like ordering the Ifrit and using her own magic to murder everyone, to take out all of the noble houses, because again, the loyalty. This is the loyalty. And this is where Dara stumbles in, and he's just horrified, completely horrified at what is going on. And it does strike a very upsetting scene because she has tainted herself, and she's using her healing magic to hurt. And she's fucking covered in blood, man. She is in a revenge only mindset, and that shit is terrifying.
Well, because she snapped because Kave's dead. And it's interesting because Nahri also brings it up later in the book, or maybe it was somebody else who was presenting Nahri the example of, you and Manizah are both Banu Nahids, and you both have healing magic, and look how differently in the choices you make of how you are deciding to use that magic.
Yeah. And I want to talk about the magic of Ali finally kissing Nahri.
It's so good.
It's so good. Oh my God. And I love Nahri too, because Nahri's like, he's like, wait. She's like, no, don't stop.
Yeah.
No. She doesn't hesitate.
She doesn't stop. And then there was a moment where you can tell that she's like, this is like the most action he's ever gotten. Maybe I should ask him. She's like, do you want to stop? And he's like, nope.
No.
But I kind of also, we can't keep doing this because you need to cut the ring out of my heart. Like, yeah. It was just so short-lived that you're like, oh, because he's like, I can't do this to you, because he's thinking what we had mentioned earlier in the episode is, you have to kill me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's such a sweet moment too, because it harkens back to like Nahri like crying on the river. He's like, it's just you and me now. And Ali's like, my whole family is because of like a marred scheme. But like Ali and Jamshid and Nahri working together to cut out the ring is just like a really wonderful little scene of just like partnership, right? And like they're trying and it's working, and then like and Nari's like, Jamshid, you take the ring, and then they're like scrambling on the floor after. She's like, God, there's no dignity in this.
Jamshid having to wear the ring, it's staying, and he's like, it's not staying on my finger, it's not vanishing, I don't know what to do. I'm looking at my notes. And this is the open heart surgery part.
Yeah.
Then she gets the ring on, and I just put, finally.
Yeah, and she puts the ring on, and she like kind of sees like a knothead kind of in her memories, and it's like, oh, excellent. But then Ali is like, I'm going to Tiamat. It is what it is. I'm going. And then, but he essentially says that he loves her, right? Because she's like they make their promises.
Yeah, yes, because she always references to this point later on in the book. She's like, why did you promise me this? Why did I promise you? Like, it's always like, I shouldn't have said that, and because even later on she goes, I don't know, Jamshid, he's not coming back. Like, admitting that this promise was just like a farce almost.
Yeah, but it's not because... No, it's not, because Faiza's there, and Faiza's going to sail with them. She's not like standing for it. Hatzep packed the boat full of tribute and full of like supplies for them. They have to sail a certain way. And then it is very Hunter and the Heart series by Diana Ortega, when their ship, Dara and Ali and Faiza's, when their ship is in the ocean and then it just goes straight down. Yeah.
Can you tell me you didn't imagine, you could just like picture that. And I know we talked about it when we were discussing book 2 of how well this would look on a big screen. Because this is easily like, yes, it's a 3-book trilogy with a 4th novella, and that is a confirmed thing. And yes, we've had multiple episodes because we are very long-winded with the series. You could break up this franchise. Give me a part 1 and part 2. Or maybe it just goes by quicker all in a book or in a movie in general because you don't have all the descriptions because you're visually seeing the descriptions. But this book 2 could easily be part 1, part 2 of a movie franchise.
Easy.
Or book 3,
Easy.
Sorry.
And gosh, how gorgeous would it be?
Just the drop. Just that this could be, because we're at the drop. This is chapter 34. This could be like drop scene. Hire me for TV development.
There you go. As everyone should, because you have the best opinions. What's your opinion
because of you?
No.
It's a partnership. It's our partnership.
What is your opinion on Dara being fully enslaved by Manizah now?
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. So this is the part where it's funny because we were talking about this for book 1 and 2 in previous episodes, that you kind of want to feel bad for him. And so now we're in chapter 35. Dara is like, he's realizing that the Daevabad that he was behind, he was supporting Manizah, like, this is the future. Like, this is a mistake. Following Manizah is a mistake. The city is dying. Him and Manizah are arguing. He's like, well, Kave's not here. I need to be the person who kind of has to stand up against her. And he's just like, and she's like, you're doubting me. You're not loyal with me. He goes, that's not what this is. The whole thing I'm thinking of is these are the kind of things that you had said, and the actions aren't really aligning anymore. And let's just get back to that place. And she goes, you don't like making decisions. You don't like executing things. You no longer have to. I control you, and puts the ring on. And you're like, you're gutted for him because he really was a true believer up until a certain point. But it reminds me of, again, this is a politically heavy book. There are great ideas in politics that people get behind certain political leaders. And then when that turns, you're like, oh, I fucked up. This isn't what I wanted. I imagine this going a whole different way.
Yeah, because Dara says, like, I'm here to help you be the best version of yourself. Like, I am your Afshin. I serve you. I'm supposed to, like, be here and tell you, like, you've gone too far. Like, you're becoming a monster. And she's like, I don't care. Like, I have to fix it. She really thinks, like, I have to fix it. It's gone too far. It can't all be for nothing. Like, Kave's death has to mean something. It can't all be for nothing. So what have you been doing, Afshin? And this is where she commands, he's done this, that, and the other. I know where Zainab is. I had a meeting with her. All of this stuff. And just like you said, she's like, okay, I'm going to control the fuck out of you. You don't have to think anymore. You're just going to be a weapon. Sleep now. And Dara's out. He like goes away pretty much because in this form, he's essentially like a genie.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really sad because now, yeah. And then like everything, she has him doing her dirty work. She's like, you are my weapon now.
Yeah.
And also tell me everything that you've been hiding.
It's awful. It is just awful. Not as awful as the gross, like, diseased animals that Manizah sends to Dimitri with her. This is the vessels moment that you were talking about, Jess, the envoy with the demands. And this is also where Jamshid confesses to Nahri and that he is the one who poisoned Ali. I love Jamshid confessing that he's the one that poisoned Ali to all of these people, to like Muntadhir and to Ali and to Nahri, because they all react and they're just like, what? Really? You? It's just funny.
And this is also the chapter where everybody is also finding out that Muntadhir and Zainab are alive because that person who's like, oh, here are all my relics. This is what we're going to trade. And then they were like, wait, we'll trade. We'll give you Zainab back. We'll give you Muntadhir. We want Jamshid in return. And, oh, by the way, we need him in 5 days. And they were like, that is physically impossible because it takes longer to get to Daevabad than 5 days.
Yeah, and they're like, well, whatever, bet these diseased, I think there's a Hawks, can get us there in 3, so get fucked. And it's like, oh, okay. Meanwhile, Nahri is removing all of the indentured servants' brands from their necks from Paisa's crew. Good stuff. The Shedu then comes to Nahri. Here he is.
With the amount of times the Shedu has shown up and why I didn't realize the big role that Mishmish was going to play at the end of this book. Right there. It's right there. It's right there. That's why we reread. Rereading Ali in the Abyss is very scary. I hate the ocean, respectfully. So this was very scary to me, being in this like realm at the bottom of the ocean. It's dark. He's cold, right? He's running into like these ruins. He can't find Paisa. There's an attack and Sobek comes and saves him. And he's like, he is kin. He's not an attacker. And then we have Tiamat, and Tiamat is a cross between like a lion and a dragon with tentacles. It's all very scary. Yeah, and it's where they were like, wait, go back to what you said. He's kin. Like, I heard you, but you just kept going. We need to rewind because how is this all connected? Yeah, and Tiamat's like, I'm going to figure it out. And she rips into Ollie's mind and she figures out what is going on. And she's just like talking. And she's one of those like, entertain me, I'm bored kind of like big gods. And Ali is like, is this the fuck you've been doing down here this whole time? Like, you like, this whole time, like, screw you, the horse you rode in on, and, like, let's make a fucking bargain, because I'm done with this shit. And this is after, like, a fight with Sobek, and, like, being humiliated in front of all of the Marid, and a big, like, communication situation happening between all of the Marid. And this is where the bargain happens. And I do feel that we don't see men stripped of their powers enough. I'm sad it had to be Ali, but you know. I agree. But you know what? I think I also appreciate that he was bigger picture. And that is an appreciation, because they were like, we need to strip you of all your powers. You can't can't have your Deva powers. You can't have your fire power. You will be more, they say you will be more us than them, because your physical form will change shape. And he was like, and it made me sad. It did make me sad because because we're on book 3, how much his firepower meant to him, just conjuring a little bit. He worked so hard to conjure the flame. That conjuring of the flame is how he and Nahri kind of started working together, and her understanding her power. I did feel bad for him. Oh, and then obviously like sharing like his name, because we know what the power of knowing someone's birth name, or like real name, I say real name in quotes, specifically for this book, the impact that has. But he knows that he needs the Marid and like basically water people to have their support, because right now everybody's fucked and they have nothing if they're going to be kind of rising up against Manizah.
And Tiamat knows, because she's been in Ali's mind, that Ali is ashamed of his Marid heritage and that he tries to like hide it. So her stripping him of his power also strips him of his jinn like appearance. So he is stuck with all of his scars. They start to glow. His eyes are crocodile eyes now. Yeah. He is different. He is not the same. He describes it as like the heat is like coming out of him. Like he's cold. He feels like a cold rush in where the heat was. And I feel bad for Ali, but then he gets, kind of like brought in to the Marid kind of communication pool. And he understands that like for every dangerous Marid, there are like thousands of very peaceful Marid that just like kind of keep peace in their like little realms and stuff. And he understands like the bigger picture. Of course, we love a man that sees a bigger picture. Very, very good. And I like this kind of deal that they cut. And you know, Ali sees Sobek's memory and he sees like it's more than a family. It's more connected than that. And that's really lovely, especially for Ali, who has felt disconnected from so many things his entire life.
And it helps him understand where Sobek was coming from, where he's like, I miss the way everybody used to communicate. Like it was just kind of like one shared tethered thought of knowing what was going around. It was a very communal experience.
Oh,
which
absolutely.
He hasn't had really since the Citadel. And as we know, again, from book 2, the Citadel, like most of his brothers in arms have died.
Yeah.
And the only way he sees them again is later in this book as like a ghost army.
Yeah, which is terrifying. Absolutely
that
terrifying.
whole thing was like, ooh.
And we are so close to that. But first, Dara is ordered by Manizah to destroy all of the districts, except for the Deva district, because she's lost it. And she needs Zainab as a bargaining piece. So she's like, destroy them all one by one until Zainab surrenders. And he does, and Zainab does. She gives herself up at the hospital. And it is there that she sees that Manizah is controlling Dara, and she goes like sick. And Dara is overcome with shame, and he tries to slit his own throat here, and he is not able to.
No, and this is also, so part of the controlling factor that Manizah has over Dara too is she has like contingencies. So not only is she going to use him as a weapon and tell him what to do, she's going to also tell him what not to do. And that includes he can't harm himself. He can't tell people that he's under her control. She has like all these stipulations because she doesn't want other people to be basically stop her so he can stop. And she's like, oh, and by the way, you're going to do all of this in your scourge form, which everybody was already terrified of from the 1400s when he last did this crazy pillage.
Yeah, which he is so racked with guilt over, and he talks about over and over and over again in his internal dialogue. Here's our Shedu. Our Shedu shows up, and our Shedu takes Nahri to the Perrys because the Perrys are pissed off. How did we feel about the Perrys?
I didn't hate. They seemed like they stayed in their own lane till it impacted them. And that's kind of what they say later on, too. And you had said in the beginning of this episode where they were like, we have to make this deal with you. And she doesn't know anything at this point. She as in Nahri just knows there's bigger things at play. She doesn't care what it takes. If that means taking herself out of the equation too, she's willing to do it, but she knows she has to get, it comes down to getting Dara out of it. And it was very Buffy for me. I just finished a season 2 or 3 rewatch when I was texting you the other night, where even when Angel's soul comes back, she's like, fuck, but I still got to do this. And that's what this moment really reminded me of.
Oh, absolutely. Because Nahri is like, all right, well, let's make a fucking deal then. And I'm going to call all of you out because what the fuck is this? Also, by the way, the Zulfikars and the ring were given by the Perrys. Little lore there. Fun for us. The Perrys have a very intricate system, and they do not kill lesser beings. And if they do, they are indebted. And it's a whole thing that they try not to ever, ever, ever do. And they have deemed it permissible for Dara to be killed because he is now in this like weird form that they have not anticipated. But Manizah is not to be killed. She's not powerful enough, even though she's actually the one that is frightening the Perrys. So Nahri's like, okay.
Which is why they gave her as a Nahri, the special, they said a cool dagger. I imagine like this blue, because they had the sapphire Perry. I think I was like, ooh, this is going to be like a special cooling, like blue sapphire dagger. Like that's how I imagined it.
Yeah. They get the dagger. And she's like, you have to kill Dara, right? And get on the Shadow with the blade and go kill Dara. But not Manizah, go kill Dara. And Nahri's like, fine. I can do that. Surely I can do that. There won't be any emotion there.
Yeah, and Dara is like enemy number 1 to the Perrys. Like Perrys, like you said, like their only focus is because they're also seeing bigger picture. They might not necessarily know that Manizah is controlling him, but they know that he is the one enacting on everything.
Yeah, and it is just really wild shit. But Nahri's on her way. Nahri's on her way. She has a whole plot with Jamshid that I really like. But Ali and Sobek are out, right? They are out of Tiamat's realm. They have shit to do, people to see, and asses to stomp. So Sobek gives Ali vestments and weapons from, I think it's Irma, the ancestor who betrayed Sobek and left spawn. So Ali has his vestments, and like obviously Sobek has like a very soft spot for that guy because he kept all of his stuff. But Ali travels the waters because he's like, I am going to get an army for Ali. We love a man who goes to beg other people for an army. It's very Rowan Whitethorn. We love it.
Good. That was one of my notes. I had that. And then I also noted like ACOFAE, where they were like, we're getting an army. We're getting a whole, and like specifically because of like the fleet, the Navy, and everybody was like, say Navy one more time. Say it one more time. We're so sick of hearing, but he was doing it. He was doing the thing, and they were like, we don't have anybody, but we will. But we will.
One of my favorite lines is coming up right here. And this is where Nahri drugs Jamshid. I love it. He's like, I don't need you to save me. I love it. I don't need you to save me lines. It's so good. I love so much that Nahri could not go through with drugging Jamshid. I love that she brought him into the plan. I love the communication. I love the planning. I love the sibling. Like, let's go.
This is the part where I cried. I wasn't expecting to, because you see that they're just having this bond and you're hurting because he's like divulging. He's being very vulnerable. And she's like, oh, this is making it so much harder. He goes, You drugged the tea. It was the tea, wasn't it? And he's so vulnerable. He loves her so much. And she's like, I don't know if this is how sibling relationships are supposed to be, but I love it. And everything that I love and I put hope, I always lose or it becomes broken. And I am just tired. I am tired of going through this time and time again. And she already has so much self-doubt. Like, what is it about me that everything I touch it breaks? It has to be a me thing. And it's beautiful to see. And so like when she turns, or you find out she turns around, and you know, because we're getting up to the scene where like you hear like, oh, and an arrow comes through, and I'm like, if this isn't Jamshed, and this is where I was like, yay, it's Jamshed.
It's so good. It's so good. Also really good that I really liked is this huge confrontation between Dara, Manizah, and Nahri, because Nahri's on Mishmish. She's landing in Daevabad. She's in the market. She sees all the devastation. Dara's there, and there's a little confrontation. She's like, "Why are you're not 18 anymore? Why are you just following orders? Why are you doing this?" Of course, Dara cannot say that he's enslaved, so he's like acting with his eyes. He's like,
and she's not picking it up. She's not picking up what he's putting down. I also think like she goes, I had this whole thing in my head. I was like, I'm going to pretend that I was like, I'm going to throw myself at him and use my feminine wiles. And then I'm going to gut him, right? Like she's ready. And then as she's flying in on Mishmish, she has the Daevabad people. She hears them say like, oh my God, it's the Scourge. Cause they just see a flying thing. Because one of the things that we know from the Scourge when he's like doing his thing is he's on a flying horse. So the fact that she's like piecing everything together, oh my God, they're scared of me. Oh my God, Daevabad looks like shit. He did some shit here. And everything that she had planned in her reunion with him goes out the window. She's like, fuck you. What the hell did you do here? This is not the Daevabad I left. I know there wasn't magic, but this isn't a result of that.
Yeah, because then he conjures a leash, and he's like, I need to take you to her. Like, I need to take you to her. Here's a leash. We need to go. She kind of said, humiliate the fuck out of you. It's like, I got to do it. But then the lightning flashes, which is Ifrit magic.
Oh, Ifrit magic. Sorry. I'm still stuck on my Jamshed notes.
Oh, no. This is the lightning flashing, and this is Ifrit magic. This is Manizah appearing, and this is bam. Hello, daughter. This is that. This is all of that. And Manizah's like, hey, play your part. I'll bring you into the fold. Play your part. You can have a quiet, happy life here.
But this is like, we know that Manizah is a narcissistic parent. Everything with her is conditional. And again, we still know her at this point as Manizah's mother. And even when Manizah had sent like her cronies to give Nahri a message, more or less, she was like, fuck Manizah. And everyone's like, you really going to treat your mother like that? And she's like, yeah, because what parent does X, Y? I've seen what she's done. That is not the person that I am. So we already have like what she thinks of Manizah, the things that she's told Manizah from books 2. She's kind of done with it at this point. And she's like, no, I am not you, nor am I going to apologize. And both of you to think that I'm okay with what you're doing with anything here.
Yeah, and it's so fucked up because right away we have Jamshed now. Jess, this is your moment. Shooting the bow, right?
Yeah, because she's like, oh, your timing, like, you're all alone now, and that's when he brings in the bow, and she's like, timing couldn't be better. No, I'm not alone, bitch. I got my brother riding on back. Like, she was ready. And then that's how you find out everything that everything that unfolded, that she went back. And then, the name, now I'm like drawing a blank on the name, where they were like, there's a whole group of them that they're like, we're all going to plot together against Manizah.
Yes. And Manizah, of course, is like, my boy. My boy, my boy, my boy. Meanwhile, the lake is rising. Ali's coming through the lake with Faiza. We got ships coming up. What a scene. Love to see it.
What a scene. I need it. We need it. Please, somebody give it.
This shit goes so fucking hard because this is the backslide. This is it. We have Manizah killing scouts and sending Ejma and Vizaresh like off to do their things, right? They're going off to the Grand Temple. Things are going hard. She gives them Nahri's true name, Jess, which is
Goldbahar.
Yep. Golbahar, which is like a name, and is wild.
Well, it's a name that gets everything clicking for Nahri. She's like, why do I know that name? Why do I know? And then we know from like book 1-ish, she's like, I keep hearing these voices in my head, all for it to circle back to it's the memories that have come with Gulbahar. And my note for we're in chapter 42, I go, damn, chapter 42 is a trip. Like I didn't know like where to start. And I had read it through the ebook too, because at this point I'm co-reading, and I was like, highlight, chapter, plot. Like this is you'd want to see it all unfold. But this is also a great part because she knows this as her birth name, but she's also reminding herself, my name is Nahri. My name is Nahri. Like that is the constant internal, conversation she's having with herself at this point, because we know the power of the name, and the Ifrits are like, your mother traded you, and by the way, that's not your mother.
Yeah. And the Ifrit, Vizaresh and Ashma have chained Nahri, and they have taken her away.
Which isn't part of the thing, because at first they were like, "Nuh-uh, Manizah, you told us you would know X, Y, you would get the ring off. You told us this." And she was like, they were like, "This isn't part of the deal." Basically, it was supposed to be handed over to us on a silver platter. We weren't supposed to put any work into it. And she's like, I don't know how to do it. Figure that shit out on your own. I held up my end of the bargain. You go off with her. That was the deal. And so they disappear with Nahri.
Yep. Meanwhile, Ali is in the boats commanding the Navy. Jamshid is like, zoomed out there. So he's out there. The dead bodies, the ghouls, start to rise from the lake, Ali's brothers. And Ali calls to the Marid kin in the lake, and they answer his call, and they kind of help them there. The lake Marid tells him you can enter the palace through the palace walls, like underneath where the water hits. There's also big globs of fiery, diseased blood being poured down from the sky. All of this shit is happening while the Ifrits are arguing, just as you said, and they have all of the slave vessels, right? They're arguing about what to do, where to go. And Vizaresh ends up killing Ashma. So the Ifrits turn on each other, which I was not expecting, and neither was Ashma, to be fair. He was surprised as fuck.
No, nobody was expecting everything, and they weren't expecting to not be able to control Nahri either, because as we know, they have her, we say her birth name, but she's also never known herself by that birth name. She has a given name that she kind of gave herself along with her parents in Cairo that gave her when they found her on the Nile. And she's like, that's who I am. I don't know who this Gulbahar chick is, but it's not me. So they were like, wait, what? We can't control her? And she gets herself out of that situation.
Yeah, and she flees and she takes the vessels and she goes to the palace where she sees like the menagerie is loose. She runs into Akisa and Akisa gives her a knife. And then this all ends on the pavilion where Ghassan dies. It's all very poetic. And on that pavilion is Manizah, Jamshid, Dara, Mishmish is there.
And Mishmish is the Abraxas of this story.
It is.
She's coming through.
It's so good. But this is where Manizah starts talking. She just starts talking and she's like, Nahri's blood is tainted. She's a Shafit. And you're just like, why are you saying all of this mean shit to your daughter? And then she's like, you're Rustrom's daughter. I was like, what?
Well, and then she's like, again, everybody loves spilling tea in this book because we know Ghassan pitted Muntadhir, Zainab, and Ali against each other. So now, like, no wonder Ghassan was loving on Manizah, because Manizah's trying to pit Jamshid against Nahri here. And she even says, like, ugh. Like, I see Jamshid's face when he's like, she's Shafit after everything. And she goes, this is just proof that Shafits are thieves and liars and can't be trusted. And this is also the moment where she didn't see coming with Jamshed to be like, that's my sister. And she's like, that's your cousin. And he goes, that is my sister. And I have your back because you're a crazy bitch. And she's completely turned on her head. And it's also the part where she's like, oh my gosh, everybody's against me. And you also have Dara, who, did you see this happening? Did you really think that Dara was in support of Manizah, or you're like, this is a dupe, this is a fake out? It felt fake out.
It felt fake out when he was like, let me give you peace. Like the way that he worded everything, I was like, oh.
Like it was to cater to Manizah. So Dara's like, let me be the one. Jamshed he's going to come around. We have to get him out of her clutches, her being Nahri. And Manizah's like, you're right. You're right. I'm tired. I hate fighting all my battles. Thank you for doing this for me, Dara. And Dara is like, let me do it. Get me the weapon. And he gets close enough to her and just like slits her throat.
Yeah. And he stabs the fuck out of her, which is amazing because it starts snowing, right? And the Nahri's like, what the fuck? She's dead. She's dead. What is going on? No. Nahri stabs herself in the chest to take her to the Piri's land. Very fun. I also really love that Nahri does refuse to heal Manizah. Because Manizah, Manizah like looks at her and she, it's got the knife in the chest and she's like looking.
And Jamshed even asks, because he's like, "This is my mom. I already lost." Because we forgot, like at this point, Jamshed also has lost his dad and now he's like, "I'm,
Yep. So doesn't happen. She doesn't heal her. So Nahri stabs herself, bargains with the Piris, is like, hey, give magic back, put the veil on there, do all the shit. The Piris are like, all right, fine, but we're enemies now. Nahri's just like, fine, I don't care. Nahri's like, I don't care. And it is there.
You've made an enemy today.
Yeah.
That was the line.
I was like, fuck off. Fuck off. Dara smashes the ring and he rips it off Manizah's hand. That's good to know. Suleiman's ring on Nahri bonds finally to her, and she heals the city, right? There's that big moment where she starts to like heal the city. Very beautiful, very lovely stuff. And then she moves the city. I was not expecting her to move the city, but I do like how that kind of really solidifies the bargain between her and like the Marid, the separation between the two of them with the mountain in the middle. Very perfect, very lovely, very Wicked King, very pulling islands out. Yeah. I love it. I love when Nahri finally wakes up. And I wrote down everybody that is in her hospital room. It's Supa, Akiza, Ali, Dara, Jamshed, Zainab, Faiza, Alashia, and Razu. It's like, this is a found family, right? Like, a show not tell. This is a found family. The line is like, all of these people were here and they shouldn't have been, but we're all here because of this one person, and this one person's like asleep on the bed. I love it. I love it. It was so nice. And Dara even says, like, I did not realize that she had a family here.
Yeah, because at book one, it was all about like, I'm getting you out of here. Not realizing, and even not realizing this life that she created for herself. And what was one of the things that they said to Dara was like, what did you say to her? Remember what you said to her, that you don't want to be a burden or her burden. If you love her, you won't. And basically, you'll leave because this is what she has going for her here.
Yeah. And which is really interesting because right after this, Razu has a nice conversation with Nahri and she's like, hey, Dara wants to talk to you in the forest. And this is where I thought this was very nice, where Dara is like, hey, I'm going to go. I'm going to cross the veil. I will be alive for centuries in this body. I am going to track down Vizaresh and all of the slave vessels in the world. I'll put them in the cave where we made out that one time. Tell your children's children about it. You will never see me again. And you know, it's sad.
It's sad.
He says, this is my penance. I want to do this penance.
Right. And because there is, like, earlier in this book, he talks about, like, well, you've always been on basically the brink of death. Didn't you ever want to cross over? Like, you've seen your mother, you've seen your sisters. And we know that because of how the beginning of book 2 started. And because of all of his internal dialogue, he says he never really went because he didn't feel like he earned it. And this goes, you know, him working through his penance, because even Nahri's like, do you know what that, like, yours was a tiny ass ring. Imagine if everybody had tiny ass rings. Like, it's going to take you forever. And he's like, well, it's a good thing I have forever then. You don't go. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, you know, I won't be alone. I'm going to have adventures. I can become the wind, find your happiness. So, like, Dara is finally like, go be with Ali. Like, that's what you want. Go be with Ali. You will never hear from me again. And I do like that very clean break between the two of them. So that is very nice. While that is happening, Ali is getting fucking teased to death by Zainab and Muntadhir, and that's just the best.
I love that. And he also has some sort of closure with the Marid too, right before the teasing, because he's kind of in this split idea of like, I'm Marid and she's Deva and Shafit. Like, this could never work. And so Beck's like, hey, so like mixed people would be really swell right now. Like, how badass would that be to solidify that her being water and Shafit, or fire and Shafit, and you're being water? Like, it could work in everybody's favor. Just saying. Like, if you have like feelings for like this random Banu Nahid.
Which, by the way, Muntadhir and Nahri are divorced. That was one of the first things that they did, is they got divorced and had tea burning their marriage papers. Like, they are very happy.
And it's like everything's coming out. And also, Muntadhir doesn't know that Ali knows about like the love that he has for Jamshed. So Muntadhir's like, yeah, so I'm not going to live at the palace for a while. Like, I think Jamshed has like extra room at his place. I might crash with him for a bit. And Ali's like, this is not, you know, he doesn't know that I know. And I hope we get to a place where he feels that he can talk to me and like share this wonderful, loving relationship. I understand that I did not necessarily create a hospitable environment based on my upbringing at the Citadel and how like tried and true I was with book 1. And this goes back to what you said earlier in this episode, Laura. It was like the character arc and the growth that Ali has from book 1.
It's amazing. It is just amazing, especially when Nahri is like, I'm not going to live in the palace either. I'm going to have a house in the Shafit district. By the way, my name, Gulbahar, means a spring flower. And I am packing all of my stuff, and I am going to be out there and get my happiness and heal people and be among the people. And I want to be away from the palace. And by the way, Ali, visit me, Ali. I want you there because I haven't seen you in a week. And Ali's like, well, Zainab said I can be smothering. So she said to leave you alone for a little bit. And Nahri's like, don't leave me alone. Like, I want this. And of course, what we know, what she's saying is like, I want to build a life with you. And she wants it slowly. She does say like, I want it like at my own pace. They have centuries that they can build a life together.
Well, and she's very cautious because again, we know that she feels that everything that she touches goes to shit, and she doesn't want that. She has a lot of trauma, and one of the lines even in this book is like, I suppress trauma for a reason, kind of thing. Like, I do it to survive. And she's working through that, but she has Ali who wants to work through that with her.
It's so sweet. But then Ali's like, hey, I have your memories. Do you want your memories? And Nahri's like, yes, immediately. Give me my memories. The memories very quickly is just Duria grew up a very lonely childhood. She could speak to animals. She had the gold-flecked eyes. She is Shafit. But a bounty hunter came to her and said, like, hey, you got to go. they took her to Daevabad, and she and her father were given palace jobs. Rustam met her. Their meet cute was about plants. Very sweet because he was in the garden, orange grove, the whole thing. Rustam and Durya got pregnant, and Rustam and Manizah helped smuggle them away. But Rustam eventually says he wanted a family, and then Manizah murders him. And then Durya ran to the human world with the baby and had the emerald ring and hurled it into a field. That's how that happened. And Durya begged and stole her way to get back to Egypt, and she got close to Cairo. She got to that village, and then she ended up speaking to Sobek again and made a bargain. He masked Nahri's appearance so that she looked not Shafit. And then Manizah came for them. That's the burned village. And then again with the Sobek bargain, take this night from her. You're going to get Durya's own blood. And then Nahri cries, and she finally feels at peace. She finally has all of herself.
Yeah, it's a closure because she doesn't know. She knows she has biological parents. She doesn't know who they are. She doesn't know who she is. But she knows that she has connections to these things throughout the course of her stories and doesn't know what those connections are. So there's so much closure in grieving, because grieving is such an important part of that process. But it's beautiful. It's also terrifying because you have human trafficking that's happening with the bounty hunter to Daevabad. You have a worried father who doesn't realize, like, he's thinking Daevabad's going to be the safe place because he wants his daughter to know where she is in the city that, brought him and his wife together. And then he's like, wait, get her out. Like, this is my sister's a crazy bitch, like, in his dying breath. And, Sobek it's a beautiful story. It's a tragic story, though, too.
Another beautiful tragic story is that the old man in the kitchen is her grandfather. We love when Nahri goes down to the kitchen and he's like, I knew. You look just like her. You honor your memory. I regret how I treated her. He says, like, he treated his daughter badly and he wasn't there to support her when she got pregnant, and that's on him. And that he saw that everyone was treating Nahri like royalty and he didn't want to take that away from her. And so she has like a biological family right there with her. And I think that is so beautiful. And then this is the end. Epilogue. 6 months later, we have Ali and Nahri. They are happy. They are partners. They are trying to govern the city. They are running a council. They're trying to get it all set. And I love this ending line. Nahri always smiles at her marks.
It's and you know what? It's not a heavy epilogue either. Like, I think it's only a couple minutes, compared to like every chapter being about an hour each. And I like that they're moving things around, because at this point, even with where we were beginning the series, you ultimately assume that, and we've already covered what happens when we assume. You're led to believe that Nahri's going to be the new ruler, and she doesn't want any of that. She just, she wants to stay in her lane. She wants to heal people. She wants to make the community better and have more of a community that she never had growing up. And she wants to share that with Ali. Muntadhir doesn't want anything to do with it. Zainab's like, I got shit to do. I got people to hang out with. Like, I'm going to live my best princess life. And it really is starting a new way of how things are going to be governed. That being said, they're going to move the throne to like a place where the kids are going to play at this like museum in this other part of town. And she's still like, but I still I wanted to see how this would feel for a hot second, because this feels really good. And Ollie's like, you could, that's going to be public property. You could sit on it whenever you want. She goes, but it doesn't feel right to take it away from the kids. Like, the whole kids are the next generation. Like, she really is trying to build a better future along with the people that she has in her circle. Like, what the next things and steps are going to look like.
This is the end of the book. This is the end. It's so good. Jess, do you like this book?
I love this book. I want to know what your favorite part was.
My favorite part is not what you would expect at all. My favorite part is when Dara sees Manizah in the arena. It's when he finally breaks and he sees the horror. I like a big, like, kind of cumulative kind of action kind of moment. And that's a huge conflict and like driving motion in the story. Like, that's it. And imagine it on screen with like dark, the sky's dark behind her. She's covered in blood. It's like a Roman arena is how I kind of pictured it, even though I'm sure it's not. With, bodies everywhere. The sand is soaked with blood. The Ifrit on the lightning are commanding the death. Like, oh my God.
Very Gladiator. Like, imagining like you're like focal, like, close-up shot, slow-mo of everything. Like the close-up shot is to show the wheels turning and everything like shit.
You get it. You get it.
See, this is why we both need to be in TV development sometimes.
What's your favorite?
I loved, there's two parts that I can't decide. But they're both sibling related, which was the Jamshed and Nahri scene coming together of like where I started crying. And the third one, when Ali, Muntadhir, and Zainab, the three of them towards the end, teasing each other because they have come so far despite everybody's toxic parents, all the shit that they came through. They were able to like communicate and realize it was never them against each other. And it's just a continual theme of the many themes that are going on in this book. Romance never being one of them. Like, it's a story, but it's not even like a tertiary plot.
Yeah, no spice. No spice. None. One kiss. And it's wonderful. You don't need it. Not to say like romance isn't wonderful. Romance is absolutely wonderful. But in a story like this, you don't need it. And I think that the relationship between Nahri and Ali would not benefit from any sort of spice.
The story wouldn't either.
No, not at all. It would be jarring and out of place. And so I need to shut up about this. I will just gush about it forever. It's just so
Editor
wonderful.
Sam wants us to shut up about it, and that's why this episode is going to be broken up into two parts. But it's like you said, not every, and you've spoiled us because the most recent books that we've read in and even though the order that we're releasing them might be a little bit different. We went from the Bane Chronicles, which is an anthology, again, no spice, no crazy romance, and this beautiful story that I don't know how we're going to pick up our next read knowing we just ended with this.
But we will do our best, as always.
We will, of course. We try to be just excited about everything that we read. But as everybody knows, when it comes to book slumps, sometimes you're like, wait, how do I pick up the next one? What if I just wanted to start all over again? But we don't have time for that this second. So feel free to follow us on Instagram, ACOFAE Podcast. We're also both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. And we hope to talk to y'all soon. Feel free to reach out. Bye.
Bye.